The Orlando Magic are one of the more promising younger teams in the NBA today. And when you look at, of course, last year when they drafted Paolo Banchero, the number one overall pick, and how impressive his rookie season was, on top of that, winning not only Rookie of the Year, but also joining Luka, LeBron James, and guys to average over 20 plus points per game in their rookie season, many more guys to that list, and of course, Orlando Magic player to average over 20 points a game since Shaquille O'Neal. And when you look at the trajectory of this Orlando Magic team in general, with the amount of talent that this team has, first off, I believe that they already kind of have this core in place now. This season, to me now, last season really was more so a season of building a foundation for this Orlando Magic team. They drafted and acquired the right players, and now it's really about now finding that core identity. Paolo was the really missing piece to really taking off for this Orlando Magic team. When you look at the core of players that they have, we know that Franz Wagner is also going to be a really talented player. He averaged over 19 points per game. He shot very efficient from the field. And he's a player, of course, who can do things on both sides of the basketball court at a very, very high level. Him and Paolo are going to be one of the best four duos in the entire NBA one day. And those two guys are really the cornerstone pieces of this Orlando Magic franchise. Not to mention, of course, you have Markelle Fultz, who's, of course, had some injury history throughout his NBA career. We all know what that injury was. It affected his shooting drastically coming out of college into the NBA, and he was traded to the Magic, and the Magic have really taken a lot of time with him. And he had one of the best seasons of his NBA career, and he's 25 years old. He's still young, in the midst of being in his prime, and he has still some potential to grow as well as NBA player. Not to mention, of course, Jalen Suggs. He has really been on the somewhat disappointing end for some people, but what he lacks more so offensively speaking in his game, he makes up for his defense. So I wouldn't be surprised even if he's starting this up-and-coming season for this Orlando Magic team, strictly due to the fact that he's such an amazing defender. Having Cole Anthony come off the bench as their sixth man is going to be a really big plus for them. Despite his role not being the same as it used to be, he still has the potential, of course, to still be one of better young players in the league. And now that he's found his role as being the sixth man on this Orlando Magic team, I still think the future is bright for him, even though despite that, they still drafted Anthony Black. So, this point guard situation for the Magic is going to be something that will definitely have to be answered, because they have a lot of guards on this team, and they're going to have to really figure out which guy is going to be their best fit. And I think right now, personally, that Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Markelle Fultz, they can still make this work, especially since Suggs adds on a different factor because, well, he's a better defender overall. Cole Anthony had showed many spots of great talent throughout that season last year. Of course, their big man, Wendell Carter Jr., and I feel like is just going to be another asset for them. Of course, he was traded on that team from the Bulls in that Nikola Vucevic trade. And, this guy, he's really a big steal for this Orlando Magic team. Not to mention that his contract is a bargain for them right now. I believe he has 2-3 years left, and it's a total of $30-something million. I can't really remember the amount on my head, but they have a lot more flexibility as well now on this team if, they do actually decide to add more pieces around this core, better bench pieces around this core of players because of this contract as well in general. We all know one of the main things for this Orlando Magic team, period, is that they needed shooting. That's why they went out and they signed Joe Ingles to his contract, and they got Jett Howard in the NBA draft, who actually didn't have a bad summer league outing. Him and Anthony Black, both of them didn't. So Joe Ingles is definitely going to come in as well and be a great veteran presence on this team, something that they need, and just being an overall great shooter that he is. He's been throughout his entire NBA career. We all know how talented he can be, especially on those Utah Jazz teams that made it in the playoffs back then. This team desperately needs shooting, and their defense at one point did improve in the regular season. I believe as well, even during the regular season, they finished the year with a 29-28 record, and that is big promise for a young team like that. And they are overall in the middle in both categories when it comes to offense and defense. with hopefully some of the new additions to this team and of course the improvement of this young core of talent, we see better outcome for this Orlando Magic team that finished with a 34-38 record, which is still promising in comparison to where they were the season prior, and they improved by 12 games, which is still a pretty good from the season prior. And hopefully what they do this season, of course, is even better. But one thing, of course, with the Orlando Magic, look, over the years, they've had many young cores of talent on this team, and we've seen them giving up on many players in the past. This is not something new that they've really done, and I wouldn't be surprised, of course, they will have to make this decision of which guys are they going to keep and which guys are they going to basically get rid of on this Orlando Magic team, because it's really just going to come down to really now knowing the roles of the guys on this team now. I think Paolo is already, of course, solidified himself and Franz Wagner as the two best players on this team, and they're going to build around these two guys for the foreseeable future. I believe that this Orlando Magic team has the ability to one day possibly be one of the most talented teams in the entire NBA. Not to mention, of course, they have, a better head coach, really now establishing a great culture there in Orlando as well. It's just going to be really interesting to see these guys good, because, of course, the last time they were really even relevant, truly relevant still, was when they had Dwight Howard on the team. Yes, they did make the playoffs a few seasons ago, and they got eliminated, I believe, the first round. But the last time that this team was actually truly relevant was when they had Dwight Howard, and they made it to the NBA Finals back in 2009, I believe, whatever year that was. That was the last time the Orlando Magic had any relevance in NBA, and that was almost 2 decades ago, which is just crazy to really even think about. Orlando Magic over the years has had, as I said before, they've had great young talent, and they've given up on it, and they've made really bad decisions. But hopefully now, with this core that they had, and they have made some great decisions, throughout this rebuilding phase now, especially after not having Victor Oladipo on the team anymore, and Nikola Vucevic, who they had on their team for a very long time, Aaron Gordon. Remember when they had all those guys? At one point, they had Aaron Gordon, Victor Oladipo, Tobias Harris. They were loaded back then, and they still found a way to mess all that up. And looking at where they are now, in comparison to then, I think this team has even more potential, of course. And they needed a guy like Paolo. They needed a guy who is going to be like the T-Mac of Orlando during this time, and I believe that Paolo has that potential to be similar in those ways as well. Orlando Magic are fixing some of their problems. I believe that next season they can be a way better offensive team and a better defensive team as well. And when you look at the development of their young core and young talent and the culture that they're building, this team has potential to be one of the best, most talented younger teams in the NBA. And of course, when you look at them, they're not basically now in that category of those teams when you look at the younger teams that are good now. But I believe this next coming season is going to really help shape the Orlando Magic into becoming in the conversation as one of the best younger teams in the NBA. But I hope you guys enjoyed this brief video today. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos each and every single week. Have a great day. Peace.